How does a Singaporean Ajuma meet a Russian tech AI entrepreneur? I bet you're intrigued. Well, today's episode is more than just a story of a Singaporean Ajuma, as she calls herself. It is about a Gen X startup founder who believes she is where she is now because of her years of working in the corporate communications field in the Singapore healthcare services and uncovering a problem worth solving. Her story is filled with some exceptional life advice as she is a mother, wife, worker bee, and now entrepreneur, although she mentioned she wasn't even looking to start a business. Hello and welcome to Season 9 of the Womenpreneur Asia podcast, and I'm your host, Krista Good. My mission is to uncover the stories and strategies of Asian women entrepreneurs in Asia to help you and inspire you as you navigate your own business journey. This episode is sponsored by Redbox Studio. I'm also excited to share that my new ebook Podcasting Power is now available. Check out womenpreneurasia.com for more details. Today's episode is with Whei Chern, who is the co-founder of MIEA Health, a startup that offers AI chatbot software as a service for clinics. As Whei Chern says, I want small clinics to thrive in today's digital world. Her ultimate goal is to support small clinics throughout Southeast Asia so that they can benefit from the digitization movement. She was motivated to solve a glaring communications problem where social aspects of patient care weren't prioritized as much as clinical care. You will love today's conversation as Whei Chern and I go into a couple of trajectories to share her story to uncover why she's a Gen X startup founder who is excited about her AI-based bot service. The backstory of this is that Dmitry, yes, her Russian co-founder, contacted me and said that his co-founder was worth featuring. I was curious about Whei Chern and we managed to get on a call, and from the first call I really enjoyed her openness about her story of becoming a startup founder. I remembered her saying, I hope my story can inspire someone out there. Have a listen to our episode today and let me know if her story has inspired you or offered you some great insights. Hi Whei Chern, welcome to Womenpreneur Asia.
Hi, thank you.
So Whei Chern, today I believe we're going to have a really fascinating conversation about your life.
I hope so.
And your business.
I really like talking to you. Yes. Okay.
So I'm going to start with this question.
Sure.
You said that your favorite quote was by Jensen Huang.
Yes.
And I hope you remember what that quote is. I hope suffering happens to you. Please tell us why that is a favorite quote of yours.
Well, I think first it kind of surprises people. So it makes you like, but why, right? So it makes people think. But I like that he's so practical because it's true. The only time you really learn are when you go through the hard lessons in life, and that teaches you a lot. I mean, I've had really tough bosses throughout my career, and with each of them, it's tough when you're going through it. But when you take a step back and you realize, wow, those periods in your life, it really pushes you a lot harder to try, and you really don't know how much you can do, or you never really stretch yourself until you really have to try. So in those scenarios and those situations, I realized that I really learn, and it's helped me a lot. Either I've grown my network, or I find new ways to do things, or it's toughened me up as a person, right? The next time, I get that showering of instructions, I deal with it a lot better because, I've had it, I've seen it, I've dealt with it, I can take it. So yeah, I think that really shows that a person has gone through a lot, and that's the only way to learn.
And I suppose you have gone through a lot too in order to come to where you are today.
Yes, it's been a very fruitful journey. I've gone through the whole motherhood journey. I've gone through the whole climbing the corporate ladder journey, and now I'm on my journey of entrepreneurship.
So I like how you describe yourself. You just describe yourself as a worker bee to startup entrepreneur and founder, right? So
yes.
Please describe how you saw yourself as a worker bee and how do you see yourself now as an entrepreneur?
Well, I've always had the heart of an entrepreneur. When I first graduated, that's many years back, Gen X. So many years Many years back when I first graduated, I graduated with a business degree, and so I was raring to go. I had this vision of myself as a high flying MNC type of a corporate working woman, but that never really panned out. I met my husband. It was a whirlwind 4-month romance, and then we got married, and then the kids came very shortly after. So fresh out of college, got married, had kids. So the idea of a high-flying businesswoman didn't really pan out because I had kids, and I couldn't leave them to do this. So I specifically chose jobs that didn't require me to travel very much. That I could come back most nights for dinner and be with my family, and that was a conscious choice. I always say there's no work-life balance, but there's work-life choices, right? So you choose the role that best fits, and family was my priority at that time. So I decided I was going to be a worker bee. Security, keep your head down, work, learn, don't stick out too much. And that's been my life for a while. You know, what do my bosses want? I try my best to navigate and to contribute, making the most of my career as a worker bee, as a rank and file. That's been my life for many years in my earlier careers.
And did you enjoy it when you were a worker bee?
I would have to say it was a different journey from what I expected. But, you know, fresh out of college, you had no expectations really. So I was fresh. So whatever my bosses tell me to do, I do, right? I had roles in smaller organizations, private organizations, government. I've mainly been in healthcare, but that whole worker bee in the private sector versus the private versus public is very different. So there's a lot to learn. But fresh out of college, you know, everything is a learning journey. Your first job, your first boss, your first team, your first project, and then you move on from there. So every day is an experience. Every role I took was an experience. And I took it as such. Very humbling. I'm here more to learn as much as I am to contribute. So that was the mentality I had as I worked through my different roles. Then, of course, I had to juggle that with my family. One of the things I learned as I grew in my career as a mother and an employee is that, you know, I had this mindset that when I had 3 children, I mean, one was hard enough, and then I had 3, and I said, okay, I needed more time for my family, and I decided to consciously take maybe a lower role so that I'm not in an area of responsibility. The idea was I would have more time with my family, but actually that's the other way around. You need to go up the ladder, not down, to have more control over your time.
So now let me stop you there. When did you realize this?
Oh, it took me a while.
This aha moment.
This aha moment happened after my 3rd child. I went to the US for a couple of years because my husband was posted there, and I was a full-time mom. So when I came back, I thought, hey, you know, let's take a part-time role because I wanted to have more presence. At that time, our children were going through primary school. So they were young, and they're not just toddlers anymore, but they had questions. They were curious about the world. They were making friends, taking their first steps out into the educational system. I thought I needed more time with them. So I said, hey, let's take a part-time role. And that's when I realized as a part-timer, as a contract staff, you have very, very little control over your time. So instead of having more time with them, I had less because I had to adjust to everybody else's schedule. So I was actually putting in more hours for less money and less time. So that was a bad idea. That was a bad idea.
So what I hear you say is that in order to gain control of your own time, in order to have the time that you need for your family, you really need to move faster up the ranks.
Yes, it's true. That's how I felt it. There's more responsibility, but you have better control over your time. If I needed to take some time out to go for my daughter's concert at school, or maybe a meet the teachers session, I could do that better, you know, as head of department than as a temp or contract staff. So that really helped. It helped in terms of time management. But of course, you know, after COVID, with these hybrid working details, I think women nowadays have it a lot better, because with hybrid working environments being the norm now, it's really helpful to working moms.
Is it better for working moms now in terms of
hybrid? I would think so.
Yeah, you can take time out, right?
It's always the case, right? The Gen X will always say, oh my God, you have it so easy now. I would think, and I mean, for myself, for my team, we are very mindful that you have your personal space and your personal time. We look at outcomes and we don't micromanage time. My philosophy has always been with my team, we hire you because of your skill sets and your ability to contribute. So I'm not going to micromanage your time. If you can juggle those, we're happy to support. So as long as there's outcomes and as long as you deliver, we have no questions over how you spend your time.
Yeah. I mean, there's a great point there, because what you believe or what you assumed about certain aspects of work life suddenly just flipped itself, right? And then like, wow,
I know.
I wish I knew this.
I was like, I wish I knew this. I wish someone told me earlier that going down the ladder was a bad idea.
or trying to keep in a low profile, right? Like you were saying, keep a low profile and not
keep
take
a low
on too many
profile.
things.
Yeah, correct. I think that's that. But that comes with age. As I learn, as I have more experience, you become more confident. When you're young, you tend to shy away from maybe mine's not a great idea, or mine's not a great suggestion, right? I should just keep quiet, watch and see what other people do. But as you get older with more experience, you've kind of been there, done that, and then you can flex a bit lah. You can give your ideas and opinions because you've got something to back you up. You've done it, you've seen it, you've experienced it, and you can share solid, rationale on why you think that's a bad idea or why it's a good idea.
Yeah. I also like to dig into the fact that you got married early. How do you feel about that? And I remember you told me a story that people always have hen parties, right? But then you had a session with your friends and they were asking you why so fast, right?
Yeah, I had an intervention.
Not a hen party.
Not a hen party. It was so strange. So I got married at 24. So it was quite fast. My husband and I, we knew each other. We were hostel mates, but we weren't really close friends. But we reconnected after I graduated, and I was on the rebound. I just left a 4-year relationship, and then we met at a function, I think, and then we talked. And we hit it off, and so it was whirlwind. We were going out, and 4 months later, he was like, "Let's get married," and I'm like, "Sure." Yeah, it was.
That was fast.
Yeah,
a fast courtship.
So I was like, okay, I'm getting married, and I was telling my friends, and because we just graduated, most of us just stepped into the workplace. It was our first year. And so my friends were like, oh my God, are you sure? And like, I mean, they knew him. We were acquaintances. We were part of the same hostel. But they're like, it's been 4 months. And we kind of have the same values in life. There's the same kind of like ideals and values. And I thought, why not? So we went ahead. And so instead of a hen party, they organized, and it was an intervention. It was a full night of, are you sure you know what you're doing with your life? And I was like, yeah, I had a little bit of cold feet, but my husband bought me socks. And he said, here's a pair of socks for your cold feet. And then, yeah, we registered our marriage, and then we had the traditional wedding, whole shebang a bit later. Yeah, so towards the end of the year. So that was it. Yeah, we got married young. I was quite sure, but when you're young, you don't really think a lot of things through, but it felt right. It felt right. It was one of those decisions I made that I was very proud of myself, and I'm still very happy with that decision.
I'm glad that, that looking back,
Yes.
right? You're looking back and then you say, well, it was a good decision. Even though your friends had an intervention for you.
Yeah, that's right. It was the best decision I made, actually. And I'm glad I did it. So it's hard, it's half heart, half head. So I think, it's a good mix of both.
Yeah. So now let's come to the important part of your journey right now, which is what you are right now at this stage of your life. You are an entrepreneur. After many, many years of being a worker bee, after many years of being a stay-at-home mom and a wife and a mother. So finally, now you are doing something that is really, I would say, it gives me hope. It gives me hope that it's never too late. It's never too late to live your dreams. It's never too late to start something in your life if you feel compelled to do it, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's time and opportunity. I mean, I wanted to be an entrepreneur when I was much younger.
You had a business degree, remember?
Right. I wanted to, but never had the opportunity. But it never really left me. Although I was very happy with my life, there was no big push like I must do a business. But the opportunity just came about because I have an interest in technology. We talk about this all the time at work and how things need to be improved. And really, it was how I wanted to improve things that led me to this point. But the real push to actually get into this was number one, I'm a real family person. Everyone talks to me, say, oh my God, you should join the ministry to promote marriage and children. My family is very important to me. So I have 3 girls, and I've always tried to impart the idea to my girls that you don't be afraid to fail, right? Try, go out there, try. You never know. And it's important to try new things. And yeah, put yourself out there. You never know how things will turn out. So don't be afraid to fail. And because we keep saying this, I figured I should be a role model, putting yourself out there, try. And if you fail, you fail, right? What's there to lose? Even if you lose, you learn. So you don't lose anything, right? It's hard, but that shouldn't be a reason to hold you back. With that mindset, I thought, hey, I should do it myself because I've been preaching it for the last 20 years to my children.
So tell me about your business then. Tell me what business are you in and how did that get started after you've figured out you should be the role model?
I started MIEA Health, which is an AI virtual assistant for clinics. I've been in healthcare a long time. My journey, my corporate worker bee experience was mainly in healthcare. I have been in the role of communications, so PR, investor relations, customer service, customer engagement, service quality. So that whole scope of work I have been doing for public and private hospitals. So I've been through Sengkang Health, Sing Health. I've been through Farrer Park Hospital, Parkway, Fullerton Health. So I've got that wide range of industry experience, but also mainly within the communications role. And I've seen how it's progressed in the last 20, 25 years. So as I was working as the worker bee, what I thought, what I've seen was that a lot of problems or issues that crop up within healthcare that make patients really unhappy, it's not so much the clinical care per se, because healthcare is very standard. You have a care pathway, right? There's a certain disease, there's a certain treatment, and there's a certain way to do things. But most of the time, the problems that crop up is because of communications. Either patients didn't get the information on time, or it was miscommunicated, or they felt slighted, or they felt that the person taking care of them didn't care, right? They're treated poorly.
Or was rude, right?
Exactly, the bedside manner, right? Yeah, why did he say that to me? Or, oh my God, he's rude to me. And then that spirals. And because he feels that you've been rude to me, then he feels the care that you're giving him is inappropriate, right? That it's not right, I'm not getting better. There are a lot of things to pick on. So a lot of it erupts, and then everyone gets involved. Corporate comms will have to drop a response to the complaints, then we'll have to get in touch with the doctor, with the nurse, with the physiotherapist, and then 80% of the work could have been avoided if there was proper communications done. So that's how I felt about this. And I've seen this happen throughout the last 20 over years when I've been working. And I was like, what if we could really engage the patients on the social side? And the way healthcare is structured, clinical notes are taken vigorously, like anything wrong physically or, with the patient in terms of the medication, the anything medical, it's recorded. But the social aspect, there is no CRM. What did he say? How did he feel? Is his preference a male or a female, a nurse? Or these preferences are called social. The social issues in healthcare, they're not really dealt with. There are no proper system of recording, classification, whether you measure their emotive state, all these things. Nobody really looks at, nobody really cares until the complaints come in. So it's not a proactive. We're very reactive when it comes to that area. So I'm thinking, what if we had a system of doing this? And the other one is, if you had to look at this social aspect, in healthcare, there are so many roles. You have your physiotherapist, you have your nutritionist, you have your doctors, you've got nurse. It's all segmented so finely that every aspect is looked at. But when it comes to the social element, it's just customer service. And there's only one person covering everything. So I also understand in terms of healthcare costs, it's expensive, right? If you want a lot of service on the social side, then of course healthcare costs is going to exponentially explode, right? Because you will have like a concierge to have to deal with each person, and it's not possible. But with technology in the last 2 years, you have your ChatGPT, your generative AI, and now with agentic AI systems, I think the possibility is great. You can have personalized, customized relationship building opportunities that is manned by machines rather than human beings. So you could have customized experience at scale. So that got me very excited. When I first saw ChatGPT, I was like, the conversations that you have, I really don't like chatbots because I have, if you have experience with them at the bank, it's very standard. It's that same thing that they tell you.
It's
right?
robotic.
Yes, you can ask a question in 10 different ways. You get the same answer, and it's the same exact answer. And that bugs me. So I've always wanted to have a more natural way of responding. I mean, in customer service, if you work, right? The nuance is very important. And you can't get that with chatbot automation, but you can have that with generative AI. So that's where I thought was an opportunity, right? To have personalized, customized responses on chatbots to deal with patients. I mean, Gen Z, millennials, your whole life is on online, right? People text. It could be a real person, but you'll be communicating with text. So I was thinking, if I could create a bot that could give clinics the ability to engage with patients and then connect it to their EMR systems, wouldn't that be great? You have an AI to assist you to manage your patients in terms of communications. You can have a patient to say, hey, I have an appointment next week. Can you please remind me which day it is? And that could be done automatically, right? And the bot will say, sure, let me just check. Okay, here, this is your date. It's on this time, right? Or one of my clients who's an aesthetic clinic says, they have people who say, what's the best kind of treatment if, let's say, I want to lighten this patch on my face? Then the bot can just say, okay, there are these services available at my clinic. You have this, and then the customer could say, yeah, but, I really want something that is not so painful and doesn't take up a lot of time. Which service would be best? And then the bot will say, okay, how about this? Narrow it down. And then the person says, okay, but how much would it cost? And when's your earliest time slot? So all these questions can now be dealt with the bot because you train your bot with your clinic standard operating procedures, your clinic services, what your clinic is particularly good at, just like you would train an employee on your company's information. Now you train a bot. And so the bot will be able to craft and generate responses. And then with automation, you can actually integrate it into your systems. An appointment could be done, immediately. It could be pushed into your appointment booking system, and no human being needs to be involved in this entire process. But of course, there will be more complicated questions. We can't anticipate every single question a person has. So those that the bot is unable to answer, it will then get pushed to a real human being, right? There is a question from this customer, a staff needs to attend to it. Then there will be alerts sent to. So your staff now needs to only answer the more urgent or more complicated questions. And then again, when the staff answers, the bot will then learn, and then it can then improve. So it's a learning journey for the AI as well. So the more you use the bot, it contains all your legacy information. And of course, with a bot, it will never leave. It will never show tantrum. Once hallucination is possible, I suppose. There
won't be absenteeism.
There won't be absenteeism. Yeah, then it won't get angry at the bosses. What are you going to do for my mental health? Yeah, and that's really part and parcel because a customer service person will get tired. They deal with unhappy people in healthcare. So healthcare customer service folks get the brunt of it because you're constantly dealing with unhappy people. Sick people are not the happiest people. People who are handling sick relatives, caregivers.
Cranky, right?
They are the crankiest, the most unhappy folks ever. And to consistently be empathetic with no downtime, that's theoretically not possible if you're a human being. But with a bot, it's okay, right? It's a machine. You can constantly do this day in, day out, and it's fine. It can produce. So that's why I think AI virtual assistant to handle the patient engagement component. We're not clinical. We don't deal with the clinical, but we deal with the social aspects. Speaking, making people feel more comfortable, engaging them to want your services. That whole customer CX journey. After your appointment, you ask them how was it today? Did you enjoy the session? Was there anything else we could have done for you? Kind of get a net promoter score after the session. Doing follow-ups after you discharge from a procedure. Can we check on your pain score? Do you need someone to get in touch with you for anything? So all those things can now be automated. Now it is done by staff. If you're lucky enough to be in a large clinic where they have people who do customer service or patient follow-up, or if you work in a smaller clinic, the nurses double up. So they have to scope this area of work maybe towards the end of the day or in between the lunch breaks, or so people double up. And the problem with doubling up is whoever who is here deals with it. So there may not be this continuation of the conversation. And where do you store these conversations? Where do you log it so that you can get back to it? So that whole, as I mentioned, the social aspect, very few people actually have systems to deal with it now. So that's where I thought there's an opportunity to look at this, particularly for the Gen Z generation where everything is online and they're less loyal. So they demand customized experience. If you have a Gen Z, right, and they say, hey, I called you last week, how come you don't know? They're very impatient. They're not like Gen X, right? Gen X can take a lot of abuse. They stay with the same clinic or doctor for life, right? Like
very loyal, right?
The nurses can be rude to you. You're like, okay, never mind, I've been here, so let's just continue. Gen Z will leave you. They'll be like, oh, this person was rude to me. I'm looking for someone else.
Worst thing is they'll post on social media first before they leave.
Exactly. Right. And then you'll be wondering why, right? Who is this person? What did we say? What was the conversation? And everybody will, hey, did you talk to her? Or did you talk to her? So there is no log. And it's very hard to backtrack. It becomes one of those he says, she says issue, right? So where's the chat log? Who spoke to her? What was the issue? What's the context? Nobody knows. And so investigation becomes very hard.
So this part of your journey as an entrepreneur, so this was the first, can I call it the first iteration?
Well, we have iterated it quite a bit. Remember, the first one was on monitoring that didn't really pan out. And then we did appointment. But now it's grown to more than just appointment making. There's a concierge where we do discussion to sell you services. And then now we also have feedback. So we're actively collating feedback and helping people categorize that feedback so that they can manage it. So it becomes a full CX journey.
And so who would be suitable for you to use this AI virtual assistant?
Assistant. Anyone who would need someone to deal with patients on the front end. We have customized our solution really to small, medium-sized clinics because we want it to be applicable to all. So the toughest customers or the toughest customers would be the small clinics because they've got 101 demands. They have the fewest staff. So the requirements for a bot to service their customers is very high. They have so many, I need it to do this, I need to do this, A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, it all comes out. And so we have this full range of what the perfect assistant needs to cover. Of course, we can't do everything right now. We've only worked on this particular product almost a year. So we're still learning and growing. But because we've actually crafted ourselves to deal with the toughest questions, we have actually gotten on board slightly larger customers, larger chain clinics. Instead of single man, now we have chain clinics. We have pharmaceuticals, pharmacies talking to us to create products to help converse with the doctors as a sort of like a interactive directory of the products, so that the bot, instead of a person, needs to answer most of the questions, and then it get moved upwards for the more complicated questions. Medical affairs can take the tougher questions. So really it's about improving workflows and making things easier to manage. So we have single man clinics until multiple chain clinics to pharmaceuticals. So a wide range of clients.
But it has been a learning experience, right? That's why I referred to that, your favorite quote, right? The suffering. Like if you learned your bots, you have to train them. I mean, the hardest questions on your bots, right?
Right.
And then that becomes better.
We learn a lot with every client, and my clients are amazing. My first few clients, they were hard with us, but they were patient. So we started up as a startup, right? And we pivoted from monitoring to being a virtual assistant. So that pivot, as we got our first few clients, they're like, hey, why your bot like that? Not good enough, like, I need like answers like that, a snap of a finger. And sometimes the bot stumbles in our first few iterations. We're not perfect yet, we're still learning, but they were very frank with us. We are still trying to make a more intelligent bot. As I mentioned, there are different modules, right? There's one that talks about services, tries to give you the best recommendation. There's those that try and schedule. So when we schedule, we are trying to optimize the clinic's slots. So of course, the earlier slots we try and fill. So it's about optimizing the clinic's time. And then there's one that's about recommending the best services. And then there's another one that helps you manage feedback, is to help categorize and making sure that it's got the right information to give to the right category of questions. So these are all different things. And with the AI can't do everything at one shot. So when we develop, there are kind of agents to do specific roles, but then you need a sort of like a master agent. So it's like an agentic AI systems where there is someone who makes that decision. So generative AI is very good at crafting content. If you have the SOPs, the FA, it can craft that content for you. It can do that scope of work. But if you need someone to make a decision, which one comes first? Is this more important or that one? So when people ask questions, you could ask 2 questions in the same message, or 3. You could ask questions that refer to information that is 3 messages up. So we learn as we go along that the way human beings communicate is different from a pure chatbot algorithm. So the pure chatbot is one after the next. If there are specific keywords, you have to take up from this template. So the learning journey was quite steep for us. With every iteration, we've done several, and because I have my own team, we are in-house, so we do iterations almost every day. Feedback that comes in, we tweak. We have the daily stand-up meetings every day. Half an hour, we touch base on all the problems that we see that happens in the day, and we tweak it. So that's the learning journey. And also with customers, with smaller one-man clinic, we have to work with our clients very closely. They have a lot of demands on WhatsApp. They will send us, okay, how come is that? And I appreciate it. I love the feedback that comes in because we can tweak it instantly almost. Then of course, as we move up the food chain, right, then you have your larger organization. There's a different level of service that you require. Then we talk about data security, we talk about PDPA, we talk about AI governance regulations, and there's so many questionnaires I have to do. My first pharmaceutical 17-page questionnaire, right? Just to get yourself onboarded or cleared as a vendor was an exercise itself. It's like I have to study all over again. We were actually in talks in June. So we were in discussion, and then we were onboarded as a vendor. And then the EU regulations came out in August. So they kind of put a spanner in the works, and then they said, oh, I'm sorry, there's now this new regulation. And I had to read the entire damn document. It was hundreds of pages we had to go through. Under what category of AI are you? And so it was a full learning journey, and there's just so much to learn. Things with regulators, and if you're in the realm of AI, we try not to touch anything clinical. We are not a clinical bot, we are a social engagement tool. And the way we structure ourselves, we try to be as safe as possible. We've got pen tests, we've got all these different PDPA regulations, policy. But AI regulations change so quickly. You have to keep reading, keep catching up. And regulators, I think they're also struggling because
it's very new, right?
New rules just pop up, and countries are also trying to see whether or not how data flows, but with data centers and who can own what data, who's responsible for what. So that whole area of regulation, that's a whole different story. And we're learning every day because there's always going to be a struggle between governance and convenience. The people on the ground need it to work, and they need it to work fast. Then, of course, the governance, you need to protect and you need to structure. And those are going to create walls that will be very difficult to navigate. So there's going to be a balance. There's never going to be
It's a hard balance, right?
It's very hard
balance.
Yeah, so we have to decide what we can do and what we cannot for our customers. We are very focused towards being fast on the ground. So if my clients require this today, I have to make it work, right? And I have to find a way to make it work. But the higher up the food chain you go, the slower it gets. With my one-man clinic clients, just tweak things tomorrow, right? Let's discuss how it works. Is it safe? Is it safe enough? Do I have enough security? Okay, we're good, we go. But for the bigger clients, there's a lot of consideration. They will have to call for a committee. There will be meetings,
and it'll be weeks out before you can do anything, right?
Yes, correct. So
if not months. Months.
I'm so grateful I have my own in-house team. So the smaller guys actually move a lot faster, and I like that. I like that because we get to see what happens, right? So not everything is perfect, and a lot of times we experiment. They'll give you questions like, what if we do this? What do you think? And I'll be like, okay, I think that could work, and we try it, right? And then you see whether or not it works, whether or not that is going to be part of a regular feature, or whether that's just going to be a test. So we do a lot of A/B testing for our smaller clients, and that's really enjoyable. But the bigger clients are interesting in a way because that's how real world works. There will be all this barriers, and I understand where the guidelines come from. It comes from a good place, right? People are trying to be careful, considerate. But again, the world moves really fast, and some of the best ideas actually comes from the smaller clinics. And because we see it works, we make that recommendation. Like, it's been tried, it's been tested, and I think it's fine. We can do this, and yeah, but that keeps the whole space very exciting because it keeps changing, and there's always something new. Yeah, and that's what I tell my team too. Sometimes the frustration sets in, like, what again? We just tweaked it, but hey, that's the way it is, and it's not rocket science. I didn't invent AI. We used a licensed product from OpenAI. We will be setting up our own neural networks, but right now we're using tried and tested systems, and the only way to improve is to outwork everyone else, right? You just go out there, you try more, you do more. It's no lack of failure. We're going to fail a lot of times, and we have to understand that with AI and the scope of work that we're doing, a lot of it is not going to pan out. We try new features, people don't like it, and then we drop it, right? We try something else. The only way to move up or to out-compete your competitors is to do more. That's my simple theory of it, right? So, suffering. That's
suffering, right? That's real suffering, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So,
but Whei Chern, after hearing you say all that, now at the back of my mind, I'm thinking, how does a person who comes from a communications background,
right,
has this idea that I'm going to be doing this, and this is about AI, this is about software, right?
Yeah,
the software
right.
part. Yeah, the software. So someone who comes, I understand why, because as you mentioned, it's because of the social aspect
right.
of healthcare.
Right.
But were there any fears going into this from doing what you did before and now running this business of yours?
Talk about fear, right? I guess I'm in a lucky space. Like what I'm. If I was 20 years old, I would probably not do this if I was young, because there will be a lot more fear. One, older people tend to have less filters. They've been there, they've done that, they've experienced
they really don't care, right?
The best and the worst. Yeah, like now I speak my mind. I tell you like it is because I've got some experience. And also in my late 40s, I've got some savings. My kids are grown. I've got a strong family.
That's the benefit of getting married early.
Yeah, that's right. If I fail, I fail. Right. If I fail, I fail. My kids are not going to go hungry. I already have a roof over my head. there is not really much downside to it. If I fail, it's probably just embarrassing. Like, why this Ajuma go out there and try this? But so that's the worst that it could get. But I never really set out to be a tech or an AI tech entrepreneur. What I wanted was to solve a communications issue, which was my background. I saw the possibilities of AI and chatbots, and I really like that as a solution. So I'm not a tech founder, and having spoken to some potential investors, that's always going to be a downside to that discussion because I'm not a tech person. So that's going to hold me back. And of course, being a woman, that's also another hold me back moment. But I don't think I went in with the onset that I wanted to be a tech entrepreneur. I wanted to solve a communications problem for clinics or for the healthcare space. And I saw this as a very useful solution. So I went in there with a very open mindset that I had to find someone who could help me with this area. And that's where I found Dimitri. And I think he's been a wonderful co-founder because he fits squarely in the area where I lack expertise in. And because of that, I think it's made this endeavor possible. So finding the right co-founder, I think, is part luck and it's also part hard work. You have to go out, put yourself out there. You have to meet many, many people, make the effort to meet people, to talk to people. One of the lessons that I teach some of my younger colleagues is don't be afraid. A lot of times we're so overloaded, right? With every company, you have a role and you really have so much on your plate. Why would you take on extra work, right? Some other department somewhere will say, hey, can you help me do this, right? And a lot of times they'll say, no, I got no time already. I got all these things. But I like to explore, right? So if somebody comes to me and say, hey, can you help me out with this? Even if it's not within my job scope, not within my, as government people would say, term of reference, I would like to take that on because it gives me an interesting perspective or a learning opportunity to learn. So throughout my career within comms, I've been in quite close contact with the IT departments, mainly because the role calls for it. The last 10 years, there's been so much technological advancement. Either you need people buy in, on some new project, and that's where comms come in to learn a lot more about the product or the service that you want to push, get your people to adopt. So you got to know what it is before you sell it, right? So you got to learn a lot on that. And then I have to go to the IT team to ask a lot of stupid questions because I'm not tech. So I ask a lot of the basic questions and they'll educate me on it. So that's where I started, learning. And I have some friends who were my IT colleagues who may have left, who may have joined startups, but they're involved with the tech industry. So I didn't start from zero. I had people that I could bounce ideas off, or like, hey, have you heard of this? They know that I'm not a tech expert, but they know me because of our relationship in our previous working environment. So the conversation is very free-flowing and very kind, and they point me to the right direction. So it's really getting your network out there. And I really admire the passion of young founders. They have so much drive, but if I was young, I would be a lot more fearful. So now that I'm older, it's like, okay, that's fine. I could fail. I really don't know.
You could take whatever that comes at you, right?
Exactly. Like, what else? I've got tough bosses. I've been in impossible situations in my corporate sector, and the bosses, whatever it is, the bosses will look at you and go, "What?" I have to tell you this story. There was a function where I was supposed to host media, and at the last moment someone told me, one of the founders had a bunch of guests coming in and they've taken your table, so the media has nowhere to sit. And it's like, so situations like that you just have to solve, right? So I think I've gone.
So where do you put the media? Where do you put the media then?
We had to get really, really creative. So what we did was we had side tables because the full table, we couldn't get big tables. So we had those conference skinny tables, the side tables, and we put them at the side. So we told the media that, it's better for them to observe the ceremony, so that, because if you're so busy eating, you can't, you can't get fully involved with the ongoings, right? The speeches, the performances. So we're going to give you side viewing tables with hors d'oeuvres. And after that, we'll have you a one-on-one session with all my key stakeholders in a private room. And then we will serve you dinner where you have a more comfortable setting where you can converse directly with the key stakeholders. So we had to plan a separate function at the end of the event, a 1-hour event. And I get all my key stakeholders to sit down face to face with the reporters and then craft a brand new menu for them for lunch. And that was like done in half an hour. I was sweating buckets, but I had to pull the hotel people in, and I had a good relationship with the hotel folks. So we crafted the entire thing in half an hour, and we said, okay, this is the plan. Everyone communicated. So it didn't seem like an error, but it seemed like we planned it this way. So,
like a nice, thoughtful thing to do.
Yeah, so things happen, and if I was young, I think so today
you would have freaked out, right?
Me. Yeah, I would have died. So, but it's the same thing on an entrepreneur journey. Things happen, right? Things happen on the fly. You just have to solve it. So you just have to take a deep breath and go, okay, shit has hit the fan. What do we do? And then take that mindset and then craft a forward motion plan for your team, because it's not just you have people with you. You can't panic. If you panic, everyone panics. So you have to be the calm factor and say, okay, don't worry, what is the worst case scenario, and we must prepare for that, but let's have a scenario where we can move forward calmly. So my thinking is plan for the worst, but and hope for the best. So if you already have a worst case scenario in mind and what you can do to deal with it, then you can move forward. What's the worst that can happen? And you've planned for it. So it is what it is.
Yeah. So I guess in your case, it's actually better for you right now to be a co-founder, because you have a co-founder. Yeah.
Right.
Because
I think I'm in a lot more comfortable space.
Yeah. And you are able to leverage your past experiences and networks and relationships built over the years to help you, right?
Yes. So wherever you are right now, I think whatever position I've been in, the network, the people that you've suffered, it's awesome. They remember you. People don't forget. I mean, human beings are very emotive creatures. So every workplace that I've been to, I've made good friends. I've always left a workplace with happy colleagues and happy bosses. Never burn bridges. No matter how bad things get, remember, either you learn or you succeed. Even if it's an unreasonable, at that point in time, it may seem unreasonable, but you have to look at your boss's perspective, right? Why are they saying this? Why? They're probably pressured from somewhere by someone, right? And why is that so? And that person could be pressured by something or someone. And so it's come down to you, right? How do you best navigate this to make sure that it works and that people are happy? So the why. Ask the why. Why is the person asking this of me? Why is this important? Who would it impact? So it's more than just the task that you're doing. Behind the task, there are people, there are reasons, and it's important to kind of dissect it to see how best. It's never going to be perfect, but how best can you deal? It's a situation. It could be a simple task, but it's a situation where many people, many things are involved, many perspectives, and you need to juggle that. So you will probably get better at it as you progress through your career. That's how I've always taught my girls. If someone asks you to do something or someone tells you something, the question is why? Why are they asking you to do this? Who is telling you to do this? Why do they need this done? And it's more than just what is this, So you need to look broader, wider. And if you address those, I think you would have made relationships for life. Because people, then they would understand that you're recognizing the difficulty that they are in more than just you are doing something that they ask you to do. And that, I think, really helps to solidify relationships. And that has been very, very helpful to me throughout my career. And even now, when I start my entrepreneurship journey, I reach out all the time because there's so many things I don't know. And there's so many people I need to. So someone will know someone. The 6th degree of separation, right? If you're trying to meet someone will know that someone, and so you just keep moving up that tree, right? And that's so helpful.
So now, since you've talked about your business, what's next or what's coming up? that you could share
Oh
with
my
us?
gosh.
That's not PNC.
There's so many things. We just had a review session with the team, and we had this Miro board. There are so many things we want to do. We want to develop a smarter board, so we are building on MIEA's intelligence. There's a whole new UX we want to produce, the new dashboard. There are additional team members we are looking at hiring. There are new partnerships that are working with possible different companies. So we're looking at partnerships with different companies to plug our system. So we're going to be sort of like a Intel Inside. So there are different platforms where we can plug ourselves on. So those partnerships are also underway. Yeah, there's just so many things that we are considering, and of course investors, we're talking to them. It's going to be an extremely busy year, but we're trying to pace ourselves so that we don't burn out. I mean, Dima's a family man as well, so both of us, prioritize family, and I love that about our team. We're trying to pace ourselves, but we're trying to do so much. We keep telling each other, right, please hold me back if we say we have to pace ourselves. And he says, yeah, no, you have to stop me. And I'm like, no, you have to stop me. And so the both of us, we want to do so much, but we're trying to pace ourselves with the resources that we have, because we don't want to bring in investors money who don't fit our culture or ideals. We want to grow at an appropriate pace. So we have to pace. We can't do everything at one shot. So that's something that we struggle with. But yes, you will see a lot more modules. There will be, currently we have 3, but we are already planning more. We have for feedback, we have for sales recommendation, we have for appointment making. We're going to do NPS, so it's in clinic, but it's about net promoter score for patients who have left the clinic. So it gives you a good scoring of how that particular clinic is performing. We're thinking of bringing back our monitoring, because there are some requests for monitoring after procedure. Feedback management is also in, by the way. But there'll be many more modules. And then pharmaceutical, we have another interested party coming to talk to us about referrals. So there may be a referral module. Yeah, so plenty of modules that we're trying to fit in, trying to build a more intelligent bot, trying to improve our sales pipeline. So we want to make that into a self-service platform. Right now, we deal with every client personally. We onboard them, we handhold them, we show them, but we're trying to make it so simple and pain-free that they can just log on, sign up for an account, pick whatever modules they want, click it, and it's good to go. So we are looking at doing it on a self-service platform. So yeah, we're going to have a really, really busy 2025. Hopefully we don't burn out, but it's fun. I really love this team. They're such a fun group.
So can I ask, how is it funded right now? Are you privately funded? Are you bootstrapping? What is it in your...
We're bootstrapped. So family, friends, ourselves. So really right now is comfortable, because once you have an investor in, there's a lot of expectations, but we have set pretty high targets for ourselves. So I think we're hard enough on ourselves. If we have someone else coming on to be extra hard on us, that would change dynamics. So we're very careful. We're talking to a lot of people right now, but we're really exploring. And with investment also, I think it takes time for them to get to know us. So it's investment in Southeast Asia, I have to say, is quite hard these days. I don't think it's as easy as it was, 5-10 years back, with easy money coming in from the US. Well, we will see, but we're happy with the progression. Do you get support
from your government?
Of course. I have to say, I'm so grateful for our Singapore government. They have amazing grants. As I mentioned, MIEA Health started, I don't know if we've shared this, but MIEA Health started as the incubation project. I did a master's degree a couple of years back, and that's how MIEA started. It was my capstone project. I did a Master's of Science in Innovation at Singapore Management University. And that's how the idea came about, because they kind of forced us, right? You have to do all this like design thinking, problem solving, and that's how this thing came about. That caught the eye of potential investors. We talked, but they never did invest, and that kind of stalled there. But it grew from there. So we went into an incubator with the Institute of Entrepreneurship with SMU. We are supported by Enterprise SG. So they gave us some grant money, of which we were very grateful. That gave us our first seed fund. Yeah, and so we do have support from them. We're trying to become a choice vendor for IMDA. So that's in the works. And also we're seeing if grants are possible, because when we started off this project, we specifically spoke to small clinics. I see the divide in the healthcare space because big companies like your pharmaceuticals, your big chain clinics, they have the resources to actually develop a lot of things, but it's the small clinic that gets left behind, your one-man clinic, right? They're strapped for funds to really explore things like AI or improve digitization. It's a struggle for them because they multitask. They juggle so many different roles. Their nurses double up to do all this connection. But the small clinics are the ones with the best customer care in terms of the human touch. They know on first name basis who their patients are. They know the patient's mother, grandmother, children, uncle, aunties. And that's something that I try to replicate with my bot, to know the relationships, to be as human as possible. So I think, it's counterintuitive, right? I'm trying to use tech to bring back the human touch, but I see them as the role model.
As complementary, right?
Yeah.
It complements.
Exactly. So I go to the small clinics because I want to emulate that interaction that they have. And I want my services to be priced at bite-sized subscription level so that they can afford it. And I want small clinics to thrive in today's digital world. And so I try to make it affordable for them. So we're looking at possible grants, whether or not we do qualify as a social enterprise, to try and enable that, to support small clinics throughout Southeast Asia, so that they can ride on the whole digitization movement. Otherwise, they'll be left behind and everything's going to be like corporatized. And that'll be really sad. You don't get the flavor of the one-man clinic in healthcare, and that will be sad.
So talking about subscription, can you give us an idea what the subscription plans are?
Oh, sure. A subscription for one module is about $300. So that's not high at all. We priced it so that you can have multiple modules. So if you want assistant to just do direct appointment booking for you, have conversations about your services, that's about $300. And with every additional requirement, like let's say I also want my bot to do feedback, I also want my bot to do sales for me, I also want my bot to do scoring after each visit, that's about $100 each in addition. So you just kind of take what you need. The first module is $300, add-on is about $100 extra, and then we sew it together for you on a dashboard. We don't charge extra for that. But if there are integrations that are required, because you could have different systems already in place that you want us to sew the bots into, we can do the integration in-house because we've got our own tech team in-house. Then we charge engineering hours, about $60, but depending on your requirements, it could differ.
That's really good. I mean, it helps the one-man clinic.
It does.
Get started.
So when I was working with the pharmaceuticals, they're like, oh my God, how do you earn money? But I said, when we first started, this wasn't actually priced for you. It was priced for the single man clinic. But we're transparent. So if you use this bot, this is the amount. But of course, if you need us to do more, so to service, big companies, it actually requires a lot more. So we will have to have an onboarding fee because we do have to service them a lot more in terms of, let's say, your PDPA, your governance, your pen test. So that whole scope of work actually is quite lengthy. So yeah.
So it's different, right? It's a different menu for a different customer.
It's different. Exactly. Yeah. And we've learned that the hard way. So now, yes, it requires the onboarding. If you're DIY, you do the onboarding on our website. Yeah, that's all you pay. But if you need hand-holding, you need us to walk you through, to do the contracts, to talk to your IT governors, then that onboarding scope of work, yes, there's a contract fee involved.
Yeah. Okay. So having shared your story, having talked about your life experience and all that, what is the final key takeaway if there's a woman or a man listening to us, to this conversation? And never too late. I love that point, and I think that is one key takeaway for me, right? It's never too late to start building on your dreams or doing something, right? Because at a Gen X age or whatever age you choose to be, but I think we're talking about being Gen X, is that you are not afraid of failing. But for you, what would be a good takeaway for our listeners today?
I think the good takeaway is, from my perspective, I think it's very important to have a loving family. That's the first thing. Because and I define family by a group of people who love you no matter who you are, what you do, or whether you're successful, who loves you for you, that's extremely comforting because they will be your bedrock to connect to. So anything in life could happen to you. I could fail tomorrow, the worst thing in life could happen to me. But when you have that emotional core, and human beings are emotional folks, right? So that gives you the motivation to try. I can try as much as I want, and I have no fear because the world could leave me. But I have this group of people who have my back, and I don't think I would be able to do that, or anything in life for that matter. Work is work. You want to be able to perform, but not everything in life happens according to how you want it to. But if you have your emotional core protected, that gives you a safe space to be. And I can always recuperate at home. like it could be a really tough day, but you go home, you talk shit with your family, you make fun of the world, and you start the next day. So things I always leave my work outside the door when I come home. So and that's always been the case. And leaving work, I mean all that emotional baggage that you have at work, bad bosses, tough colleagues, difficult situations, all these things, leave them out. So you protect your emotional core so that you can recharge and start the day again. And so I think that's very important. Protect your emotional core. That's what you need. So have a good family life. It could be husband, wife, it could be mother, it could be daughter, it could be father, it could be anyone. But that space has to be protected, and that requires work too. So work hard at making that solid, and with that you can do so much more.
So it really is true that having the support system, right? Really, the support system.
Yeah. So that Chinese saying, right? 成家立业. I come back to it after many years and I say, yeah, I think those oldies got it right. Because a lot of my nephews, nieces, they tell me it should be 立业. I need that money, right? I need the 立业, my career, my money needs to come first before I can think of getting married. But it's the other way around. I think it should be 成家立业, because with that family, then you can go out with that galvanized emotional core that however the world hits me, no matter how hard it gets, there's something that I want to protect, and there's something that I need. And it's both ways, right? You need to protect it, but it also gives you that courage that no matter how, there's someone there. There's someone there that no matter how badly you fail in life, you can come home to someone and say, don't worry, we'll start again. We'll take this on and we'll do it again. So yeah, I think that's all I believe in.
Yeah, beautifully said. Thank you so much, Whei Chern, for that. And finally, of course, where can people find you online if they want to connect with you or find out more about you?
Sure, LinkedIn is a great way. It's Whei Chern, it's wheichern.ho, or MIEA Health, MIEAHEALTH.com. I look at every email that comes in from our query hot email. So that's one way to get me. Or social media, we are on Facebook, LinkedIn too. Otherwise, it's my own personal LinkedIn account, which is my name, Whei Chern Ho. Right.
I wish I had more time to talk to you, Whei Chern, because I wanted to dig into how you found your co-founder and what are the qualities and criteria. But I know I definitely have to save it for another day. But okay. I really, really enjoyed you sharing your story. And before we started recording, you said that you hope that it will inspire someone. And I think it's very inspiring to me, because I think that, after all is said and done, you still have family.
Yes, I think to me
in the right place. In the right place, right? That is the most important thing. So the question that I want to ask you, is it heart or is it head?
Is it heart or is it head? I have to say both. I have to say, let your heart lead, but let your head make that decision. Yeah. So stay guided by your heart, but make that decision with your head.
So
Right.
thank you, Whei Chern. Thank you for such a wonderful, amazing interview. And I really hope to get you back again. Maybe the next round we can talk about how to find the perfect co-founder for your startup.
Yeah. How a Singaporean Ajuma can meet a tech Russian.
That sounds intriguing enough as a title.
I know, right? It's like, how did that happen? So that I get that a lot. So we can chat about it.
We can chat about that. Okay,
right.
So thank you.
Thank you so much, Krista. I enjoyed it. All right, bye-bye.
Bye. While I mentioned that my takeaway from a story is that it's never too late to start anything, Whei Chern's advice to protect your emotional core is spot on. With a strong family and home support, you can truly head out to conquer the world. She emphasized the importance of networks and relationships and going the extra mile because you never know where that leads you. Despite marrying early, she has enjoyed motherhood and family and prioritized them first. But she has also experienced a clear and compelling problem while working in the healthcare industry, so she put on her thinking cap to solve a pertinent problem with the help of AI. Her sensible outlook on life, family, and business is so refreshingly simple, yet doable. If you're new to this podcast, do subscribe so that you can get the latest episodes. If you're a returning listener, can you do me a favor? Please rate and review the podcast on your favorite podcast app. It will go a long way in helping others discover my show. I hope you found this episode valuable and inspiring, and I will see you next Friday with another brand new episode.